Myself and another deputy had just cleared up from a domestic disturbance here in the Burnt Chimney area, and we heard the multiple tones. When I got on scene, there was no other emergency responders on scene yet. It was quite evident that there was a head-on collision and one of the vehicles had been pushed off the roadway. It was very evident that there was nothing that I could do to help the driver. I quickly moved over to the van, and the van side door was open, and I could tell there were more than just 2 or 3 victims in that vehicle. My focus came upon one child in particular that was laying on the floor in the back section of the van. The boy who was on the floor, he was breathing. When I got to him, it was obvious that he had gone for a ride, though. He had a lot of contusions all around his body and was bleeding from the ear and from his mouth. Don't give up on me, kid, come on. It wasn't but a few seconds later that his breaths got more and more shallow and he stopped breathing on me. After he stopped breathing, I had called on the radio that I was going to need to start doing CPR and that I needed more help and fast. The patient was taking the last breaths, or very shallow, and seemed like he was struggling on something. And really, I think it was just right place, right time. Just very fortunate that there was somebody upstairs that was looking out for him, wanted him to have a second chance. Was able to get a large clot out of his throat after a few finger sweeps, and was able to then start doing the rescue breathing and the compressions through CPR until he began to breathe on his own.
My name is Billy Dudley. I'm a lieutenant. When I arrived on scene, I went and checked the first vehicle, saw that we had 1 patient. Checked the second vehicle, saw that we had 5 patients. 1 was already out of the car. We had 2 critical patients.
I was made aware of the call when the tones dropped, so there was a motor vehicle accident on Burnt Chimney Road. So I started toward the scene, and one of our firefighters got on the scene and marked it up as a heavy entrapment with extrication needed.
My first step was, as arriving line officer, I let dispatch know what we had. Franklin, be advised, we have 1 patient, 2 vehicles, 5 patients in the other vehicle. Need 2 ambulances, need 2 helicopters.
Nobody wants to lose a child. Above all else, everything is focused on this child. And once Billy got there, knowing Billy from working with him, it was like, man, it couldn't be any better. We get Billy, I got lifeguard coming, the child's gonna be taken care of.
When I first got on scene, I walked up. Then when I looked to my left shoulder, I seen Lieutenant Gower, and I knelt down and was helping him, talking to him. And at that time, the patient grabbed my finger, and I continued from that point on. I continued to coach him and just give him encouragement. Keep breathing.
Once I got the resources coming, a former chief of ours pulled up. I felt I was better suited to start extrication, so I turned command over to our former chief, where he could get things rolling.
At that point, I took over as overall scene commander and started relaying information to our dispatch, Franklin County, and getting additional resources headed our way. 10-4, I'll await your response.
Being EMS command, trying to get all the medical aspects into place was integral in this, in that we had 2 critical patients. And as anybody knows, if you got 2 critical patients, you need to get them to the right place as quick as you can. So with the deputy having already started patient care, being assisted by the state trooper, then that freed me up to go do other things.
We had previously called for 2 helicopters, so I advised Franklin of the situation and the LZ information and the coordinates, and then they had the helicopters respond our way.
When a call is that close, especially to the base, we're trying to get the LZ information, the ground contacts, making sure everybody's there, prepared for the helicopter to land. We have all the information that we can on the patients that we're getting, so we can go ahead and let Roanoke Memorial know.
We got tones dropped for a scene response in Franklin County, Burnt Chimney area. We did, before we took off, get word that it was 2 pediatric patients, and your mind just starts racing a whole lot more when you know that there's pediatrics involved.
We do most of the extrication, so we saw that the people in the van weren't pinned in as bad as the gentleman in the other car. So we immediately went to the other car and started to extricate him. And 2 or 3 minutes into it, they called it.
As I arrived on the scene, I noticed one patient away from me about my 11 o'clock. Talking to Deputy Gower, he advised me that I started CPR. I think I cleared the airway. I reached down, I started palpating the pulse. I said, okay, we got a pulse. And I started talking to the patient. The patient was not verbally talking back to me. The way the eyes were moving was kind of indicative of telling me, okay, it was possibly a head injury.
All right, hey guys, we can't do anything right here. Let's just move him to the truck. All right.
I asked Gower to go ahead and place some oxygen on the patient. And then once again, the eyes were still moving upward and the patient was starting to tremble and a little bit.
Joshua King, chaplain and firefighter. I started to change my hats from firefighter to chaplain. A part of that was I went over and I actually went over by the ambulance that was carrying the little boy, and I started to talk to them to see how the little boy was doing. At that point, they were, of course, just so very unsure of what was going on. I stood outside the ambulance for a little bit and was praying for the little boy at that point.
I got a couple of lines in with the IVs in, then got a fluid bolus. And at that time, I got the heart rate, which for my patient at that time was a little lower than I like for it to be. I started to initiate chest compressions again. I noticed the heart rate was starting to increase. By that time, I started hearing lifeguard aircraft and started touching down.
It's just a short 4-minute hop to where we went, and we literally landed right beside the accident.
Once I heard the aircraft coming down, it was just like the stress come off my shoulders. It was just like, I could kind of take a breath myself.
Kevin, the flight nurse that was with us that day, he made entry into the ambulance first, and he said, come in here, it's going to take, both of us to, because we knew what we were looking at. Once I got inside with him, I saw what he was concerned about. It's a young child, non-responsive. Just seeing a helpless child, laying there definitely, gets things rolling a little more.
Got to the scene. The first helicopter was already on the ground. Senior firefighter Tammy Jefferson was in command. We did a quick size up. He gave me another size up, said he had another helicopter inbound, at which time I told him that I could take command. Darrell Vaness had EMS command at the time, and he was saying that we could call off the second helicopter. So I called off the second helicopter.
We worked real well together with the public safety staff that was in the ambulance. Deputy Gower was helping up at the head, and Trooper Sapelnik was towards the feet end of the patient.
Come on, keep fighting.
He was really a coach, even not just for the child, but for everybody.
I just kept thinking, if it was one of my children, I'd want somebody to be there, hold his hand, and talk as nice as you can to him. And hopefully that, just by him grabbing my finger, I felt like he could hear me because he would squeeze it. So it was just something I continued to try to talk to him.
We went right into the actions of securing the airway. We knew that was a vital component. Administered the medications. Kevin performed the intubation. We confirmed everything, got him out and got him loaded into the helicopter.
We had a lot of new guys there, and a lot of guys, this was their first bad call. And these guys you got to mentally prepare yourself for some of these things, and it's hard to decompress or back away from a situation.
Well, I was new on the time, so I didn't really have much experience coping with the fact, so that night I really didn't get much sleep.
Our chaplain here was very supportive of us afterwards, talked to us.
This particular call affects not just those who are new to the service, but especially when children are involved, it does affect even your most seasoned firefighters.
We did come back and debrief here. We try to do that on the bad calls so that everybody don't carry it home with them.
The next meeting that we had, we debriefed with the whole company, and we debriefed a couple times after that.
He he came to the station, pretty much he would talk to us individually if we needed it, or as a group. He would kind of debrief us on everything, how the patients were doing and how helping us cope.
They all talked about things and we worked it out, but I think this was a good outcome. It was a very difficult situation. I think everybody worked well, and I'm proud of the way we handled everything and the way everything came together.
The teamwork was just unbelievable. I can't even describe it in words.
One of the things is we train with everybody together, so I know what the state police is going to do. I know what the deputies are capable of. I know what Franklin County and the public safety are going to bring, what assets they're going to bring.
You know, when you have a large incident like that and you have that many agencies involved, it's hard to keep track of everything going on at one time, but you know, that day everything worked good. You know, the state police, they were there, they were a big help.
Our local town police officers.
The 911 center, when they first got the call, all the way through our dispatch.
Public safety staff.
Our local sheriff's department.
Our local fire departments.
3 different agencies of EMS.
And lifeguard.
We were real happy with the turnout. Everybody worked well, everything fell into place, and we had as good of an outcome as we could have hoped with the situation at hand.
From them receiving the call, us receiving the call, additional resources receiving the call, it's just like a trickle effect. Everybody knows what they're supposed to do. It's great.
No one really had to say anything to anybody. We all fell into a place. We had a common goal. We had this patient. Everyone recognized the significance behind this patient.
It's really remarkable how the deputies and the state troopers step up in the accident. They helped us the whole time while we were extricating. We were so tired at the end of the double extrication that we just literally collapsed in the roads. And we looked, and there goes the deputy and the state trooper carrying the patient to the helicopter. And that just brings tears to you when you're on scene, seeing everybody pulling that much weight.
Everyone works together, and it's not about roles, it's not about jurisdiction, it's about whatever needs to be done at the time, and it's not like that everywhere. And so that culmination, that day, everybody was needed and everybody stepped up, and just happy to be part of a team, and that's what it took to save that boy that day and to keep the rest of the scene safe throughout the whole event.
You know, it's pretty awesome that, you know, you have state troopers and the sheriff's department that have that passion to be there and actually help.
That's how it is here in a small town community. The deputies and sheriff's department and state police and all of us, VDOT, work together.
We knew it was bad, and everybody there did. And the damage that was done, you wouldn't have thought it would have been compatible with, you know, continued life. And, you know, 10 days, 2 weeks later, he gets discharged to a rehab facility, and you know, from what I understand now, he's like living a normal life. There's no deficits from it, and that in itself is just amazing.
You know, just a couple months later, for us to get an opportunity to see him and reunite with him here at the firehouse with the gentleman from the fire department was something I'll never forget.
His grandparents and his parents, they brought him up, and everybody got to meet him and talk to him, and you know, that was a big thrill for everybody here. You
know, he was running around playing inside the truck and playing with our radios and everything like that. It brought a lot of joy to everybody.
Now that was a great feeling.
That was a big night for us. It was as big a night for us as it was him. Getting
that stuff done and getting him to that Level 1 trauma center with the pediatric capabilities is of dire need. The actions of the responders that day definitely saved his life.